Hi warriors, Hannah here and welcome back to another video. Today I decided, as university is officially ending and all of that, that I would talk about my experience of university, going to university with an eating disorder, and just the pros and cons of my university, the University of Bath. The first part of this video is going to be me talking about having an eating disorder and then going to university. The second part is going to be my personal experiences at the university I chose. So if you're interested in any of these topics, then I suggest to keep watching. So, going to university with an eating disorder can be really tricky. Even if you don't have an eating disorder, leaving your home and starting this independent journey can be tricky. It can be an emotional roller coaster full of romance, heartbreak, friendships, stress. There's a lot of opportunities, but also a lot of responsibilities. So you might get involved in lots of extracurricular activities and have loads of coursework, and then become part of a very intense sports team. It can easily get a bit too much, especially now that you no longer have your parents checking on you. You need to take responsibility, and if not, it can very easily go downhill. And there's no one there to check on you or realize when it's going downhill. So it becomes easier to skip meals or say you've already eaten, especially if you only see your parents once or twice a year, if you're going to university abroad like me. Next, you have your own room, which is quite fun, but you can do whatever you want. If you want to do some exercise in the middle of the night, there's no one stopping you, unlike at home. However, personally, I found that going to university was my savior. I had just had a gap year in which I really focused on myself and finding out my values when I went to university. And my parents were probably super scared because every time I moved, I'd lost weight and sort of relapsed and grabbed a hold of the coping mechanisms that I knew, but that were obviously very maladaptive. However, when I went to university, I really grasped this opportunity. I had become more mindful, and I was ready to take responsibility. I knew that if I lost weight, I would be the only one to blame. So I used that to my advantage, and I used that to gain weight and to prove my family wrong and to prove the eating disorder wrong. I could do this. The fact that I wasn't constantly checked upon was also quite helpful, because for me, I would get quite angry when I was constantly checked on, and usually it just led to conflict, which wasn't that helpful. In addition, by going to university, I moved into a new place, so I left behind the house, the scene where I had all my eating disorder memories and where all these routines were ingrained, and I could establish a new routine, which was so much healthier. I could start cooking the things I liked and just gain pleasure from cooking things, trying new things, eating in my own schedule. It was quite fun. It was difficult, but it really taught me what I needed and what I liked. So it was definitely a learning process. If you do find it really difficult, there is always counselling available. Every university does have student support. One more positive from going to university was the fact that I lived in student accommodation for the first year and then moved into city accommodation also with friends. And this is such a sociable experience. Food is not just food, it's not just a fight. You might know this if you already eat with friends or if you eat with your family. But it's a sociable experience. It's fun. You might get takeout together or cook a meal together or just eat a meal together. And the associations you have with food become much more positive this way, making it much easier to leave the eating disorder behind. Anyway, that's just some of the pros and cons. There's definitely some more, and if you know of any, let me know below. I also quickly wanted to touch upon my university experience and living in Bath, studying in Bath, and all of that jazz. The University of Bath is a very prestigious university, and it's ranked somewhere in the top 10 of all UK universities. In the top 3 for psychology. It's always sort of dancing around Oxford and Cambridge, which I think is pretty cool. And looking at the actual learning outcomes, personally, I preferred Bath over either Oxford or Cambridge. Bath students also have a really positive outlook in terms of employability after studies, and it's just a really cute place to live. It is rather small, so it's really easy to get around by foot or by bike. Though if you're planning to use those modes of transport to get to the uni, you do have to go up a steep hill. It also feels very homely and safe. Lots of the courses, including psychology, do also have a placement year, which can be really useful for your CV, just to gain some experience, to get a better idea of what you want to do after uni. Although for psychology specifically, these are generally not paid, unfortunately. For other courses, they are. In addition, there are some good language learning opportunities. Throughout my university, I did French, Spanish, and then recently I completed an intense French course as well, which I think is just a bit of fun, a way to keep your brain active, and something that not all universities offer. In addition to languages, there's other extracurriculars, social activities, sports, etc., and really good facilities for those. Within your course of study, there's also a range of different modules. For psychology, I found that there was loads of things that I hadn't even really heard of, such as neuroscience, which I thought would be a little bit dull, but which ended up being one of my favorite modules. However, there were definitely some cons for me as well. All of this year, I didn't actually have that many lectures because there were strikes all the time. There were strikes in my second year as well. And then obviously, Corona happened. It's perfectly fine because all of my lectures were recorded so I could watch them online. But for me personally, I think there's something just a bit different and more engaging about actually being in the lecture hall. So for me, this was a con. Also, all of my assignments were essay-based, including the actual exams, which I didn't like that much because it got a little bit boring after a while. For me personally, it would have been more fun to do some more lab reports or just, different formats, different styles. However, I was quite pleased that I didn't have that many exams, especially now at the end of the year when I just had essays to hand in and no more physical exams to attend. Useful during this COVID-19 time. Even though I believe for other courses of study, the exam-based assignments were now replaced with home-based things, which wouldn't have been that bad. Some other potential deterrents from joining are high entrance requirements and fairly high tuition fees, but that's just quite general in the UK, and I believe the US has even higher fees. So it really depends on your budget, where you want to go, what you want to achieve. Keep all those things in mind, especially as accommodation too is fairly expensive. This is true in the UK in general, but especially in Bath, prices increase year after year after year, and this final year, it was getting a bit ridiculous. I had my placement in Manchester, and the place was much nicer, whilst the price was much cheaper. However, I do have to say that Manchester definitely wasn't as cute and cozy. There's loads of things to do, but I never felt quite as safe as I did in Bath. In terms of nightlife, personally, it's not something I'm that much into. However, they do have some good student nights in Bath. Cheesy Moles, I think there's Bridge, Ponanas, Comedia. To be honest, I've only been to 2 of them, and I did quite enjoy them. But because it's quite limited, students that like to go out more might not find exactly what they like. However, don't fear. You're nearby Bristol. You can easily get there and enjoy the nightlife there. In addition to nightlife and extracurriculars and socials, there's so many things to do around. There's mini golf, there's amazing hikes. The Southwest is such a beautiful place. Then there's some lovely restaurants, many sports and volunteering opportunities. And all in all, I really enjoyed meeting new people, learning more about the things I'm passionate about, and just readying myself for entering a job now. Overall, I think the experience was very enriching, both in terms of kicking out my eating disorder for good, but also in finding myself and finding my passions. So, if you're thinking about going to university, If you're thinking about going to Bath, I highly recommend it.